Have you ever felt an invisible force within you, a quiet hum beneath your ribs, as if something ancient, something luminous, was waiting to be remembered? Most people move through life deaf to that pulse, mistaking noise for meaning and motion for growth. Yet within every human soul lies a field of unseen energy, a magnetic essence that, once awakened, bends reality toward purpose, toward destiny. You have felt it before, haven't you? In those rare moments when the world seemed to recognize you, when chance encounters turned into fate, and coincidences whispered your name. That is not luck. That is your magnetism, dormant, forgotten, yearning to be called forth from the depths of your unconscious. The world does not respond to your words, it responds to your energy. You can speak in the most eloquent language, craft the most persuasive arguments, and yet if your inner current is weak or conflicted, your words fall flat, dissolving into the air before they ever touch a heart. Have you ever met someone who, without saying much, filled the room with presence, someone whose quiet confidence made you instinctively listen, even in silence? That is not charm. That is energy, raw, authentic, unforced energy that speaks louder than any voice could. You see, beneath every interaction, beneath every moment of connection, there is a subtle transmission happening, a resonance between your inner state and the world around you. People don't merely hear what you say, they feel what you carry. Your tone, your posture, your gaze, your pauses, all reveal the story of your unseen world. The world, in turn, mirrors that story back to you. When you move with anxiety, life echoes it. When you radiate self-trust, opportunities emerge as if magnetized by your calm. Many wander through life, trying to manipulate the external, chasing approval, forcing outcomes, reciting affirmations they do not truly believe. Yet the truth is piercingly simple. You cannot magnetize what you internally resist. You can only draw toward you that which harmonizes with your present state of being. Energy is the silent architect of your reality. It is the language beneath all languages, ancient, instinctive, impossible to counterfeit. Don't think about the moments when you met someone whose mere presence steadied you, whose words, even if simple, carried weight. What you were sensing was alignment, a unity between thought, feeling, and intention. That person's inner current flowed unobstructed, and so the world responded with recognition. You, too, have known moments like this, fleeting instants where you felt inexplicably powerful, where your actions flowed effortlessly, and coincidences seemed to conspire in your favor. That wasn't luck. It was your own coherence briefly unveiled. The tragedy is that most people lose that connection early. We are taught to polish the surface, to say the right thing, to smile correctly, to perform certainty instead of cultivating it. But energy cannot be faked. It reveals all pretense. When the soul hides behind masks, the world responds in confusion. You can tell yourself you are confident, but if beneath that affirmation lies fear, the world listens to the fear. You can preach love, but if resentment lingers in your chest, the echo that returns is resistance. To activate your energy, you must first feel it. You must become intimate with your own undercurrents, your tensions, your desires, your hidden fears. Bring them into light. Let them breathe. The act of awareness alone begins to free what has long been constricted. Slowly, your words will begin to match your vibration. Your gestures will grow unforced, your presence quietly magnetic. People will begin to trust you without knowing why, and events will seem to align of their own accord. Magnetism is not something you build, it is something you uncover. It is the natural state of a human being whose inner and outer worlds are in harmony. You don't have to try to attract, you simply become undeniable. The world leans toward those who are whole within themselves, because wholeness feels like truth, and truth is the most powerful energy of all. So, when you step into the world, remember this: the universe is listening, but not to your words. It listens to the quiet rhythm beneath them, the pulse of your energy, and it always, without fail, responds in kind. What you seek is already seeking the frequency of your becoming. The world, mysterious as it is, does not conspire against you, it conspires through you. Every desire you hold, every vision that haunts your imagination, exists because somewhere in the unseen, its echo has already been born. You are not chasing random dreams, you are responding to a call, a resonance between what lives inside you and what awaits beyond you. The question is not whether your desires are possible, but whether your energy is tuned finely enough to meet them halfway. Imagine the universe as a vast field of vibrations, endless, humming, alive. Every thought, every emotion, every belief you carry sends out a signal. This signal, invisible, yet unmistakable, draws toward you experiences, people, and events that match its tone. You cannot summon peace from turmoil or abundance from fear, because the frequencies do not align. What you radiate, you attract. What you resist, you repel. It is not punishment or reward, it is resonance. You felt this before. Remember the times when everything seemed to fall perfectly into place, when chance meetings turned into meaningful connections, when opportunities appeared just as you were ready for them. That was not coincidence, that was coherence. Your inner and outer worlds briefly sang in the same key, and just as surely you've known the opposite, when no matter how hard you tried, everything seemed to slip away. The more you grasped, the farther things drifted. That too was energy, a signal muddled by doubt, sending mixed messages into a field that responds only to clarity. Most people spend their lives chasing their desires as though they were distant stars, unaware that the light of those stars is already reaching them. They run faster, shout louder, hustle harder, yet remain trapped in the gravity of their own resistance. The truth is simpler, quieter. What you want is already in orbit around you. It circles closer as you refine your vibration, as you let go of fear, of self-judgment, of the endless noise that tells you you're not ready yet. Energy does not respond to effort, it responds to authenticity. You cannot manipulate this field by pretending to be confident or repeating hollow affirmations. The frequency of becoming arises only when your desire and your self-belief merge into one undivided pulse. When you stop acting like you want it and start being the person to whom it naturally belongs. That is the shift, the invisible, electric moment when the seeker and the sought become indistinguishable. Your dreams are not testing you, they are waiting for you. They do not ask you to prove your worth, only to remember it. Every aspiration you carry is a reflection of something latent within you, a future self calling you forward through the language of longing. Desire is not a sign of lack, it is evidence of connection. It is the universe showing you what already exists in potential form, waiting for your frequency to match its rhythm. So, when you ask for something, love, purpose, freedom, creation, do not shout your wish into the void and wait. Instead, listen. Tune yourself. Become still enough to feel the pulse of that desire within you and let it sculpt your energy into alignment. You are not a beggar of fate. You are a magnet of destiny. The moment your inner vibration meets the tone of what you seek, the two merge and the invisible becomes visible. the imagined becomes inevitable, and life begins to recognize you once again. True magnetism begins when the masks fall and the soul steps forward. For most of our lives, we learn to construct identities, fragile reflections built from the expectations of others, polished by approval, protected by fear. We wear these masks so well that we begin to forget there was ever a face beneath them. But energy cannot be fooled. The universe does not respond to the image you project. It responds to the truth you emit, and truth cannot flow through a facade. There is a quiet exhaustion that comes from living divided, from trying to hold together the version of yourself that pleases the world while silencing the one that seeks to breathe. That exhaustion is not weakness, it is your soul's rebellion. It is the inner self pressing against the cage of performance, whispering that you were not born to be palatable, you were born to be powerful. And power only awakens when pretension dissolves, when you stand in your truth, unadorned, unfiltered, unapologetically yourself. Something extraordinary happens. Your energy becomes coherent. You no longer send mixed signals into the world, begging to be understood while hiding your essence. You become whole. And wholeness radiates a frequency the universe cannot ignore. People feel it before you speak. They lean in, not because you are loud or persuasive, but because authenticity has a gravity of its own. It pulls others toward it, not with force, but with the quiet confidence of alignment. You have met such souls before, those rare individuals whose presence feels liberating, whose honesty is not sharp but healing. They do not seek to impress, they simply are. And in their being, they give others silent permission to do the same. This is the essence of magnetism, not performance, but presence, not the pursuit of admiration, but the courage to exist as you are, undiluted, unmoved, and fully alive. The masks we wear are born of fear, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being too much or not enough. Yet every mask, no matter how convincing, blocks the very current of energy that could have drawn the world toward you. Pretending to be confident when you feel uncertain, pretending to be indifferent when you care deeply, these small betrayals of self fragment your energy. You cannot attract while pretending, because pretense fractures your frequency. The world responds only to coherence, and coherence begins with truth. When you begin to shed those masks, slowly, gently, something shifts. You rediscover your own rhythm. Your words begin to sound different, not because they are crafted better, but because they carry weight. You move differently, not for attention, but from ease. The people and opportunities that once eluded you begin to appear, not because you chased harder, but because your energy now speaks clearly. You are no longer echoing someone else's song, you are singing your own. This unveiling is not without fear. The moment you drop the mask, the world may look at you differently. Some will not understand, some will step back. But others, the ones who resonate with your truth, will step forward, drawn not to what you show, but to what you are. The air becomes lighter, your steps more certain, and your life, once effortful, begins to float. When the soul steps forward, words become unnecessary. The energy of authenticity speaks for you, silently, steadily, undeniably. And in that stillness, the universe listens, recognizes, and responds, not to the performance, but to the pulse of your truest self. You attract not by desire, but by the depth of your self-awareness. Desire alone is a flicker, a spark without substance, unless it is grounded in the knowing of who you truly are. Most people chase what they think they want, unaware that their longing is often built on borrowed dreams, shaped by comparison, fear, or the echo of other people's voices. But magnetism does not answer to confusion, it answers to clarity. The universe aligns not with what you wish for, but with what you know yourself to be. Self-awareness is the bridge between intention and manifestation, the silent force that turns abstract longing into living experience. Without it, you move through the world as a fragment, disconnected from your own center, mistaking motion for progress and noise for purpose. You can say all the right words, visualize all the right outcomes, and still remain stuck, because the current of your energy flows in too many directions at once. It is only when you turn inward, when you begin to listen to the quiet truths beneath your surface, that your energy gathers into focus, and the external world begins to mirror that focus back to you. That awareness is not thought, it is observation. It is the still eye at the center of your inner storm. It watches without judgment, without denial, without defense, and in that watching, illusion dissolves. You begin to see which of your desires are true and which are imitations, which come from the soul and which are stitched from insecurity. When you reach that depth, you no longer chase, you no longer grasp, you begin to draw. There is a profound difference between wanting and being ready. Wanting is loud, readiness is quiet. Wanting demands, readiness invites. When you know yourself, your fears, your wounds, your motives, your strengths, your energy becomes refined. It stops oscillating between longing and resistance. It steadies like a flame protected from the wind. And that steady flame is what the universe responds to. Every time you look inward and meet yourself honestly, your frequency sharpens. You become less reactive, less desperate for validation, less addicted to outcomes. You begin to realize that what you seek externally is often a reflection of something unresolved internally. The love you chase is the acceptance you deny yourself. The success you crave is the worth you've forgotten you already possess. The peace you search for has been waiting in the quiet corners of your own awareness. When you understand yourself, the world stops being your adversary and becomes your mirror. Every encounter, every obstacle, every coincidence begins to reveal something about your own state of being. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin to wonder, what part of me is being shown right now? That question, simple yet piercing, transforms everything. Awareness turns frustration into insight, fear into direction, longing into magnetism. There is immense beauty in that moment when you stop running from yourself, when you no longer need to impress, perform, or persuade. You become centered, calm, yet powerful. Your energy grows deep, grounded, unmistakable. People feel it when you enter a room. They may not understand why, but they respond, not to your appearance or your words, but to your alignment. You have become clear, and clarity is irresistible. Because in the end, magnetism is never about how much you want, it is about how deeply you know. The more intimately you understand your inner world, the more naturally the outer world bends to meet it. The universe, after all, does not listen to the noise of desire, it listens to the silence of awareness. The unconscious is the compass, align with it, and the world aligns with you. Beneath the surface of your daily thoughts, beneath the chatter of logic and planning, there lies a vast and ancient intelligence, your unconscious. It is not chaos, as many fear. It is wisdom unspoken, a silent field where the fragments of your experiences, instincts, and forgotten truths live and breathe. Most people drift through life guided only by the conscious mind, the small, bright flame of reason, while ignoring the great fire beneath it. Yet it is the unconscious that shapes your magnetism, your intuition, your sense of direction. It is the hidden architect of everything you attract. Every dream, every impulse, every inexplicable pull you feel is the unconscious speaking, not in words, but in symbols, in sensations, in patterns that repeat until you finally listen. The conscious mind argues, plans, and doubts. The unconscious simply knows. It knows what you have buried, what you fear, what you truly desire beyond the layers of performance. It knows where your energy leaks and where it flows. It knows who you are before you do. And until you learn to hear it, your life will move in circles, repeating lessons disguised as fate. Utter alignment with your unconscious does not mean control, it means dialogue. It means learning to interpret its language. Every emotion you suppress, every dream you dismiss, every coincidence you shrug off is a message unreceived. When you begin to pay attention, when you stop dismissing the whispers as noise, you start to feel the current shift. You begin to notice that your choices grow clearer, that your timing improves, that intuition quietly replaces anxiety. Life begins to feel less like effort and more like unfolding. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the reconciliation between what you know and what you have yet to meet within yourself. He understood that wholeness is not achieved by chasing light, but by turning toward the shadows, by making peace with what has long been hidden. The unconscious does not wish to punish, it wishes to integrate. Every suppressed fear, every rejected emotion carries a piece of your power. When you dare to face them, the fragments of your energy that were once trapped in avoidance return to you, and your magnetism deepens. Think of it as tuning an instrument. Your conscious mind sets the melody, but the unconscious provides the resonance. If the strings beneath the surface are tense, the sound will be sharp and strained no matter how beautifully you play. But when both are in harmony, when awareness meets acceptance, the music flows effortlessly. The world responds to that resonance. Opportunities align, relationships evolve, and timing becomes synchronistic, as if life itself were conspiring to guide you forward. To align with your unconscious is to live in conversation with yourself, to question your reactions, to listen to your dreams, to explore your fears with curiosity instead of judgment. It is not the eradication of darkness, but the illumination of it. For your magnetism does not grow from denial, it grows from integration. You are magnetic not when you are flawless, but when you are whole. So, when you feel lost, uncertain, or torn between paths, do not look outward for direction. Sit with your silence. Let the surface settle until the deeper currents begin to speak. Trust the subtle impulses that rise from that stillness. They are not random, they are your compass, quietly turning you toward the life that belongs to you. And once you begin to follow it, the world itself adjusts, realigning its patterns around the truth you have finally chosen to hear. Stillness is not emptiness, it is the birthplace of radiant power. In a world addicted to motion, stillness has been mistaken for stagnation, silence for absence, rest for weakness. Yet all great forces are born in stillness. The seed does not grow in the noise, it germinates in the quieter dark, unseen. The stars do not burn in frenzy, they glow in perfect balance between gravity and light. The same truth lives within you. The deeper your stillness, the stronger your current. What appears as pause from the outside is, in truth, alignment from within. We are taught to move endlessly, to chase, to strive, to prove. But constant motion without inner harmony scatters your energy like light diffused through fog. You may appear busy, even successful, yet you remain disconnected from the very force that gives movement meaning. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is the space in which action becomes intelligent. It is the breath before the word, the silence before the music, the invisible moment when your energy gathers itself before it manifests. Without stillness, your magnetism fractures. With it, everything begins to move with precision. There is a kind of power that cannot be seen but can always be felt. The power of someone rooted, centered, unshaken. They do not rush. They do not explain. They are aligned, and their presence alone alters the rhythm of the room. That is not dominance. That is quiet authority. True magnetism is born not from the noise of ambition, but from the serenity of knowing. The world listens differently to those who move from calm conviction rather than restless desire. Stillness teaches you to listen, not to the world's clamor, but to your own current. When you become still, you begin to feel what is truly yours and what is borrowed from the expectations of others. You begin to sense which paths drain you and which ignite you. Clarity is not found by thinking harder, but by silencing the static long enough for the truth to rise. The unconscious, your inner compass, speaks most clearly when you are still enough to hear it. Yet stillness demands courage. When the noise fades, the echoes of your own fears begin to surface. You may feel discomfort, restlessness, even anxiety. But that is only the turbulence of energy rearranging itself, the process of chaos becoming coherence. Stay with it. Beneath that initial unease lies immense strength. Once you cross the threshold of your own silence, you discover a depth that no chaos can shake. The world outside loses its power to dictate your state because your center has become unmovable. This is why the most magnetic souls are never hurried. They walk slowly but with purpose, speak softly but are heard deeply. They do not need to demand attention. Their stillness commands it. It is not that they possess more energy. It is that none of their energy is wasted in friction, in resistance, in trying to be something they are not. Their power emanates naturally, like warmth from a flame that no longer flickers. To cultivate stillness is to reclaim the space between stimulus and response, to choose presence over reaction. Each time you pause before speaking, breathe before deciding, or sit quietly with uncertainty, instead of forcing resolution, you gather your scattered fragments and return them to your center. That gathering is magnetism in motion, invisible, silent, and unstoppable. So, be still, not as retreat, but as revelation. Let the world spin, let the noise rise and fade, while you remain anchored in your own quiet gravity. For in that stillness, energy does not vanish. It condenses, deepens, and begins to glow. And when you finally move from that place, the world does not just see you, it feels you. To awaken your magnetism is to remember that you are both the seeker and the source. All your life, you've been taught to search outward for love, for meaning, for validation, for power, as though the treasures of your existence were hidden in distant places or in the approval of others. But the truth, ancient and unchanging, is that everything you've ever sought already lives within you, waiting to be reclaimed. The universe does not withhold your desires, it reflects your readiness to embody them. You are not separate from the energy you wish to attract. You are that energy, merely learning to recognize your own reflection. The seeker in you believes fulfillment lies ahead. The source in you knows it has been here all along. The seeker chases, doubts, and measures progress by external signs. The source observes, creates, and radiates from within. The seeker looks at the world and asks, when will I receive? The source looks inward and whispers, I already am. To awaken your magnetism is to bridge the two, to allow the seeker's longing to meet the source's knowing, until the two voices harmonize into one coherent frequency. The greatest illusion is that of separation, the idea that life happens to you rather than through you. Yet everything that unfolds around you is an extension of your inner state. The people you meet, the opportunities that arise, the patterns that repeat, all are mirrors reflecting your current vibration. When you understand this, blame dissolves and responsibility becomes liberation. You no longer wait for the world to change. You shift your energy and the world rearranges itself in response. There is an unspoken majesty in realizing that you are both the dreamer and the dream, that every thought you nourish, every emotion you cultivate, every belief you hold carves the contours of your experience. The universe is not outside of you, it moves through you, shaped by your awareness. And once you recognize yourself as both artist and canvas, you stop seeking inspiration and start embodying it. The seeker asks, "How do I find my path?" But the source smiles, because the path is not found. It is made by walking. Each step, each choice, each moment of self-awareness becomes a brushstroke on the vast canvas of your becoming. The more you walk in alignment with your inner compass, that quiet voice beneath thought and fear, the more the external world begins to move with you. Synchronicities appear, not as magic, but as resonance. You are no longer pulling at the world, you are flowing with it. There comes a moment, quiet and unmistakable, when you realize that what you've been chasing is not something to be acquired, but something to be remembered. You remember the calm beneath your striving. You remember the clarity beneath your confusion. You remember that power was never something you had to earn. It was simply waiting for you to stop running from it. That remembrance is awakening. It is the return of energy to its rightful center dot. When you stand in that awareness, magnetism ceases to be effort. You do not try to attract, you simply become what is sought. Your presence itself begins to transmit a silent signal of coherence that the world cannot ignore. You begin to live not as a fragment reaching outward, but as a field radiating from within. The seeker finally dissolves into the source, and what remains is pure alignment, still, luminous, and profoundly alive dot. And in that stillness of realization, you finally understand you were never chasing what was missing, you were always circling back to what was already yours dot. And so, as you stand here, now on the edge between who you've been and who you're becoming, remember this: the force you've been waiting for has always been you. The energy that shapes worlds, that pulls mountains into form and stars into fire, hums quietly beneath your skin. You are not small. You are not lost. You are magnetic, born to draw life toward you, not by effort, but by essence. So dare to walk with your head high and your heart awake. Dare to meet the world as the creator, not the victim, as the source, not the seeker. Let your stillness speak louder than your noise, your authenticity shine brighter than your performance, your truth ripple further than your fear. Stand rooted in the power of your own alignment and watch as life, in awe and recognition, begins to move around you. The world does not need another mask. It needs your radiance, raw and unfiltered. It needs the sound of your truth vibrating through silence. It needs the gravity of your presence reminding others of their own light. So step forward. Activate your magnetism. Let the universe see what happens when a soul remembers its power dot. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for daring to become who you truly are.